called the gut-brain axis. Our gut is our second brain, and that's why we feel everything in our stomach, because our digestion is directly linked to that, and our immune system is linked to the gut, which is why when we're stressed, the digestion doesn't work effectively, the immune system's weakened, it's a vicious cycle. Hello, I'm Rhiannon Lambert, registered nutritionist, founder of the Nutrition Clinic, Nutrition Plus, the supplements company, author and host of the Food for Thought podcast. Bloating is when we get an accumulation of gas in our digestive tracts. Now, often this could be to do with fluid retention relating to what we eat, and this causes our intestines to expand, and that in turn creates what we see as bloating. It's completely normal for some, and it can impact up to 75% of the UK. So if this is happening more frequently than once a week and it's accompanied with pain and discomfort, then you might want to go and get this checked out. Remember that there's no easy solution. Fasting and cutting out food is often not the best approach and can make it worse when you eat your next meal. So try and eat smaller, frequent meals throughout the day.
Great! Take a seat, thank you.
Rhiannon, what can we do to alleviate bloating?
It's a good question, Fearne, but I think a lot of the time, actually, you're going to like the answer to this. The answer is in lifestyle changes. So yes, diet obviously plays a factor, but if we cut it back to basics, breathing, tapping into that parasympathetic nervous system, because if we're in a state of fight or flight, we're stressed, we're busy, we don't stop, that's going to help our digestive system. And not wearing tight clothing, believe it or not. So I'm wearing tights.
Bring on the joggers.
Exactly, joggers all day long, because when we're wearing restrictive clothing, we just don't have that movement, and less people are exercising now. All of these lifestyle factors, sleep, hormonal fluctuations contribute. So the best thing you can do is relax, hydrate, eat smaller meals throughout the day, don't fast. And those, I'd say, are the top lifestyle tips. I mean, you know better than anyone on Happy Place the importance of mindfulness.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
But it's interesting, the correlation to gut, because I think often we just think, I'd like to feel less stressed, but we don't actually look at how that stress is so accountable for things which are very physical, actually, extremely physical. So when we're stressed, what is happening in the gut? Why is that slowing digestion or creating this gas?
Oh, it's creating so many problems. We're in a constant state of fight or flight when you're stressed. You've got hormones surging, cortisol, and actually blood flow is drawn away from your digestive system. It's not a priority anymore. If we think that we're running for our lives, we're not thinking about eating. It's called the gut-brain axis. Our gut is our second brain. And that's why we feel everything in our stomach, because our digestion is directly linked to that, and our immune system is linked to the gut, which is why when we're stressed, the digestion doesn't work effectively, the immune system's weakened, it's a vicious cycle.
Wow. And okay, how about the other way around? How can poor gut health affect our general baseline mental health?
Oh, I love this question because it's a new area of science.
Yeah.
It's emerging, and we have amazing data. We have the SMILES trials, which was an incredible piece of research. It did say that the diet and the gut is more effective than antidepressants. If you eat the right diet to support the trillions, we have 100 trillion bacteria in our gut, good and bad, but if you've got a unique balance of that that's beneficial, you're more likely to create a lot of short-chain fatty acids, which are these sciencey words for food that feed our gut lining. And it keeps our gut healthy. And in return, the signals go back up to our brain and says, right, let's produce more of these fantastic hormones that we need, serotonin and wonderful things we've all heard of.
It's all connected. Are there certain diet types or foods that are just a no-no when it comes to this?
Actually, no, there is no one type of diet that you need to avoid. The key is understanding what works for you. So we all have a unique gut microbiota, so all the different bacteria that live within our gut. So it's identifying your triggers, which isn't easy to do. And we often say in the clinic, work alongside someone on what we call a FODMAP diet, which means taking out some foods which could trigger, or we say keep a food diary.
Is there one specific way of eating to ensure that you've got a healthy gut?
Yes, we are all unique, but often the research says plants. Plants contain natural polyphenols and flavonoids, all these words that just mean antioxidants, good for you. They contain fiber. They contain all these wonderful protective properties for our body. And the more diverse the diet, so if you eat an apple every day, why don't you do an apple one day and orange the next day? It's all about getting the basics in.
So really focusing on whole foods, processed foods, just a big no-no for many reasons.
Processed foods, it's interesting. Nearly everything we consume today is processed.
Yeah.
And this is the confusion. You know, the cans of beans and pulses are a processed food, technically because we put them in a can. So the things we want to be reducing are ultra processed foods.
What would be classed as ultra processed?
So that would be your takeaways, even sandwiches in a packet sometimes that have a filling that have gone through a zillion different...
It's not even cheese anymore.
No, it's not even cheese anymore.
It's plastic.
It's got a lot of emulsifiers, additives to preserve the shelf life. And it doesn't mean that it's the end of the world, it's bad for you. For some people, they'll have a lot more ultra processed foods in their diets. It's really about trying to cook from scratch more at home if you can.
Right, so I've got some questions from the Happy Place community.
Oh,
the
amazing.
first one is, how does gut health contribute to bloating?
So gut health plays a key role here because obviously how hydrated your gut is and the amount of gases we produce in our gut contributes. So bloating is essentially pressure in our gut from excess gas. And that happens when we're eating, if we're not chewing our food properly. It also plays a role depending on how our bacteria digest our foods. So the better the digestion, the less likely you are to bloat. Some people don't have a good balance of bacteria, so they're giving off way too much gas that causes pain and discomfort.
And then what about how regular should we be? What does that even mean?
Well, this is a really good question because it does differ for everybody and it can vary. I mean, some people can go 3 to 4 times a day.
Oh, lucky things.
And that's considered normal. And you know, some people only once every 2 days. But if anyone's concerned, they have to go to their GP to check that out because we should be raising awareness about bowel health in general anyway.
Yeah.
There's a lot of underlying conditions that can be picked up if you notice your bowel movements are suddenly irregular or you're in a lot of pain and you're regularly constipated, just get it checked out.
Without a doubt. Right, next community question. I've heard about food intolerances causing bloating. How can I determine if I have any food intolerances and what steps can I take to manage them?
So you can't accurately test for a lot of them. The only one is really dairy with lactose intolerance. The best thing to do is an elimination diet, and I would only recommend doing that with somebody that can help supervise it. So maybe go to your doctor to get that checked out, see a registered nutritionist like myself or dietitian. But actually, some people do have a sensitivity to things like gluten. Some people, believe it or not, can live their whole lives having a gluten intolerance sensitivity. They're hard to diagnose and just think it's normal to have pain, discomfort all week long. It's not normal.
And I also keep seeing a lot, it's on Instagram, so again, some of this can be questionable, but the real problems with rapeseed oil or other seed oils being in sort of non-dairy milks or non-dairy spreads.
Let me bust this one. So I love the seed oil thing. So people say seed oils are really bad because they're meant to be inflammatory. There's actually no data. Now, rapeseed oil actually creates a good anti-inflammatory response. It's similar to olive oil.
What's going on?
I know.
I made my own bloody almond milk last week because of this.
It's such a myth. Honestly, seed oils are not necessarily bad for you, but I will say in the States, this is a different conversation.
Yeah.
There are different processes. Things can be very ultra processed in terms of oil industry. But yeah, similar to olive oil, the benefits of the omega ratios in rapeseed, which is your refined seed oils. There you go.
That is so fascinating because I've been really feeling discombobulated about that one. Like, is it this milk I have or this one? Hence why I bought a pack of almonds.
I know the one you mean,
and made
though.
my own.
It's all over TikTok, isn't it?
It's everywhere.
And I saw that machine that makes the plant milks being advertised. You know, that pops up, doesn't it?
Oh, can you? Oh, I wasn't even
I'll
using a
send you-
machine.
well, if you want to do
I have
it.
a Hessian bag, and I'm squeezing nuts
Like,
through
you
a
have time.
Hessian bag like I'm in the Victorian times,
You don't have time-
Rhiannon.
you don't have time
I
for
don't
that.
have time. Another community question. I get so bloated on my period. How can I help this?
It's natural to get bloated on your period. You know, estrogen receptors help us retain fluid. That's what we do. We retain water. So the key is to stay hydrated. Drink more water when you're on your period around that time of month. Think of the fibrous food items. So perhaps this is an example of when you want to eat white bread, not brown bread.
Really?
Yeah, because it's easier to digest. Obviously pair it with some protein and, you know, make it a good, sensible meal. But you've got to identify what really triggers you around that time of month.
Rhiannon, that was so fascinating and massively helpful, so thank you so much.
Pleasure.
If you enjoyed that, please do subscribe because we've got loads more of these really deep dive chats coming for you. So do subscribe, and if anything in this fascinated you or you've got anything to add, then do pop your thoughts in the comments below.